Generally, when I work with couples, I split them up. I'll see them separately because of the love addiction, love avoidant model that is in every relationship. They are both acting out this process, but in polar opposite ways. So the way I would have to work with one person is completely opposite than the other person. So what we generally do is we start together, hear all the issues, then we split them up, come back like once a month and go, okay, how are we progressing on each side of this dynamic? What are the roadblocks? And as they get further along, a better understanding, it gets more and more subtle. And really the idea is then they start coming in, after a while, they start coming in and going, well, this happened and I did this. They start becoming their own coach. And then I'm just helping in the very subtle gray areas to where the point it's like, okay, now they can navigate this process on their own and recover through it together.
Well, that's kind of cool to see then, watching that transformation from a rewarding standpoint, from a coach standpoint, which is, I guess, why we all do this. So that's very cool. This is your journey to success with Kenny Weiss, life coach Kenny Weiss, Coach Kenny, as he is sometimes called by his clients. And he is a brand new radio host on the Coach on Fire Radio Network. We are also simulcasting on Facebook Live. You can find out about Kenny's shows, his upcoming shows. He says he's going to have some high-profile guests, and I absolutely know they are going to be awesome, and Kenny's going to be awesome. You can listen on coachonfire.live, www.coachonfire.live, or facebook.com/coachonfireradio, or I'm sure Kenny will be streaming it on his site. And every week now, we're going to be doing this on Facebook Live as well, so you can catch us on Kenny's page there. Kenny, I am noticing this is our first show here. You might have two comments.
Yeah, I see that from Ronald.
We want to address those, and then we'll move on about your book.
Sure. It looks like Ronald, he made a comment here. He said, that's not true. Nobody shows their true colors at the beginning. Well, there can be some truth in that. In general, people don't, they don't show exactly who they are, but that's in part proving my point. Because we don't have a model in place on how to be authentic and vulnerable, people don't show their true colors. But in the process of not showing their true colors, they're also showing you exactly who they are. It's funny. I think back to my second wife, the first date we went on. She literally told me exactly how she manipulates men. Literally. Just went right through it. And what's even funnier is because of the way I am, the first day I met her, this is why we're always the problem. I was standing there waiting for her outside the restaurant, and I turn around and about 20 feet away from me. I've never had this experience. I've never said this before about somebody, but I literally took a step back because I can feel things. I felt this energy and I went, oh my God, she's the devil. That's literally what I said the first day I met my second wife, is I saw it. Now, we all go into these, first dates and we see it right there. But because of how denial works, and I talk about that in the book, of how denial works and how we make excuses for their lack of true colors and different things like that, it's all right there. But because we haven't been taught the process on how to listen and communicate, a lot of times we miss it. And so I have this discussion with everyone I've ever met. If you keep picking the same person, the only constant is you, right? So there's something in you that's attracted to this type of person. And so whether they're showing their true colors or not, if you're running into the same relationship dynamic, there's something going on inside of you, but we haven't been taught how to find that. And that's what my book shows, is how to find that.
Okay, and let's talk about that, your journey to success. And then I think you've got another comment here, Kenny.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Why did you write the book? Who is it for? And how can people get a hold of it?
I've been writing for years, as I journaled and worked through my process. And here's what happened. When I was coming out of the suicide stuff, I sat down and, you know, started to, you know, I had started to learn how all this works. So, you know, I was putting together the final pieces, and I wrote down, I want to come up with a fundamental way to transform society that nobody has ever come up with. And so I had researched a lot, but it was in, you know, after writing that, the final pieces came together. And a lot of the stuff in my book, people have seen or read before, but there are aspects that haven't been touched on. And especially around shame and denial. Really, there's no book on denial out there. And shame and denial are the key components to what I talk about. So I knew that the process we have in place to live life isn't working. And there has to be something different. And so once I figured out, I remember the day in my office, and I went, I kind of finished the cycle that, you know, I'd put all the pieces together, and I was like, oh my God, I don't care what you say, how you argue with this. I don't have to defend it. You've just proven it with your argument. And that's when I knew, I was like, I've got something. At that point, I was like, okay, it's time. It's time I get it out. As far as who the book is for, several people, those who've tried everything else and are still stuck, those who really like to dig deep. You know, there's some self-help junkies like myself who love to grow as a person. They love to challenge themselves. And this book is for them. It's also for the person who suffered tremendous trauma and is reliving it, doesn't know how to get out of it, even if they've been to therapy and stuff like that. Because again, I touch on things I have clients right now working with therapists who are trying to work with them using my book to help them, because there are things they don't talk about and aren't aware of. So it's for many people. I will say this. It's not for the person who's not ready. And there's a lot of people that are in the beginning part of the process that don't want to go here yet. And that's okay. This is for somebody who wants to go and find an answer, who really is hungry for it. And this is, you know, the roadmap out. Because really the book, it's easy to read. Most people tell me they read it in one day. They just can't put it down. But the process of seeing how these dynamics are at play, like the question this gentleman Ronald said of they don't show their true colors, the process of learning how your brain and body works from seeing how you're missing their true colors can take years for the brain to shift. And so it's a book that'll take 10 to 15 years. I recommend everyone at least once a year reread it, because your brain will shift and you will read and understand things that you missed in the beginning because you hadn't absorbed it quite yet. It's how change works. And I describe why that takes that long in the book, how the brain works and everything too. So, you know, that's generally people in relationships, people with career struggles, because I touch on parenting, I touch on relationships, I touch on your career, I touch on trauma, I touch on, so any aspect of your life. If it's not where you want it to be, this book will show you exactly why. And the big difference is it won't use buzzwords. It will explain the buzzwords, you know, because I've seen that in a lot of books where, you know, they talk about you need to self-evaluate or you need to believe, but they never define how do you do that. My book does that. It gives you the roadmap. And that was another thing I tried to make sure of.
And how can they get a copy of your book?
They can just go to my website. There's a direct link, which is www.coachkennyweiss.com. And the spelling of the last name, this poster's still screwed up. We got to get it fixed. But it's Weiss. You can go to Amazon, any of the online retailers, and you can get it in paperback, in Kindle, and also Audible. And really, because of how the brain works and how it's, you know, denial and things work, what I recommend to everybody is get the Audible and listen to it. Now, don't try and do the exercises or anything. Just listen to it. Let your brain become accustomed to it. then go back and get the Kindle or the paperback and take notes and dig in at that point. If you hate Audible, that's fine. But as far as being able to absorb the material the fastest and get the most out of it, how the brain and body work and learning, that's the best way to do it. But whatever works for you. But just so you know the best process, that's the best process to do it.
All right, Kenny, and that's how people at your website is how people can get a hold of you if they would like to work with you. Well,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. As far as working with me, yeah, they could, my direct phone number, all that kind of stuff is on my website. Yeah.
All right, and it looks like we have some more comments, Kenny. So
yeah.
let's address those and we'll move on.
Tyler says, "Hey Kenny, your book." Looks like there's a typo. Your book and helping me personally through the text I've sent you has been amazing. Nothing better than letting go of past problems. It's exciting to live in a world where I'm now aware of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And thank you for helping me get past the shame of my past actions. Tyler, yeah, he's somebody who reached out to me. I think he's in Australia. And he ran across one of my YouTube videos. I have a YouTube channel. And sent me a question through YouTube and then read the book and, every once in a while asked me a question about the book through Facebook Messenger or something like that. So he's was struggling through a relationship, and the things I talked about in there, it was like, oh my God, I had no idea. So that's what he's referring to.
Okay. And that takes care of the comments for now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, Kenny, your radio show and Coach on Fire Radio Network, your Journey to Success, is going to be a weekly show at 9 a.m. Arizona time, which is where you are. I'm in San Diego, so that's 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. on the East Coast. And then if you're anywhere else in the world, just use a time converter because I can't go through all of the time. But basically 11 a.m. and we do have a global audience, and time zones can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes, but just use a time zone converter because you're not going to want to miss your journey to success. As you can already hear from this interview, that Kenny is a very, very talented life coach that can get you through some of life's most difficult problems and get you set on your journey for success and in the right direction. So what can we expect in the coming weeks on the radio show?
Well, next week we have Tiffany Ann Beverland. She is the second or third most viewed profile on all of LinkedIn. She owns Dreams Recycled. It's basically a divorce recovery. She has a podcast and everything of, how to get through divorce, how to sell off your old wedding dress, everything related to divorce. And so she'll be on next week. So for those of you, struggling through divorce or on the back end of it, just her story too is great. So we'll have her next week. And then I got a phone call Friday. This I'm really excited about. Dr. Foster Cline. He's the one who created Parenting with Love and Logic. And he's at the forefront of parenting. He's going to be on the following week. And so if you're a parent, that's a show you can't miss because it will fix the dynamic. That Parenting with Love. I even suggest in my book, I tell people about a lot of books that are important if you want to get through this cycle, and that's one of them. His book and his style of parenting should be taught in every school. It's transformational, and it's the answer to the parenting dynamic, the problems we have currently. So I'm really excited that he came on. There's a couple other people we're talking to and just waiting to see, but those are the next two guests. So I think that's a pretty good start.
Awesome. And that show again is going at 9 a.m. Mountain, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. every Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern every Monday. So mark it on your calendars. You can find it right here on Facebook Live if you're watching the simulcast, or you can go to www.coachonfire.live and subscribe to Kenny's show. That way you'll get notices every single time and alerts, so you can't miss, you're not going to miss the show because you'll get alerted if you follow. So that would be a good place to follow, and Kenny will be sharing it out. If you're a follower of Kenny, you will know to bookmark it and don't miss it, because it really is going to be, especially with guests like that, can't miss radio.
Yeah.
You can also find out more about all of our hosts on Search on Fire Radio Network at Facebook.